this is another video that I thought I'd put together as part of the kind of the guides series, if you will, as in just guides to people who are new to shooting these air pistols. I've already done one on the difference between single action and double action. This one's a bit more general than that. This one's more about just kind of, I probably should have done this one first. This is just about the basic kit that you might need or want while you're taking up collecting air pistols or firing air pistols. And I mean, you could apply this to pellet pistols. You might want a bit more stuff. You might want some cleaning gear and so on and so forth, or not. Most of these things kind of clean themselves. So I've kind of omitted cleaning the pistols themselves because they are pretty much self-maintaining. It's only when you get a jam or something like that that you might need to have a look in greater detail. But this is just to kind of get you up and running. You know, if you've got hold of some spare cash, which I know is rare these days, but if you find yourself in that privileged position and you decide you want to buy yourself an air pistol, there's a bit of fun in the garden. You know, it's certainly over the past 12 months it's been harder to get around anywhere, and more people are kind of going, you know, what can I do in my own back garden? What can I do? Possibly even indoors if you've got the right kit and you've got enough space. And air pistols and shooting at targets is perhaps one of those things. So let's look at the basic stuff that you might need. The first thing that you might need, or I would say that you definitely do need, is just a level of intelligence and just a decent attitude towards it. You know, these are easily attainable and real fun when used properly and correctly. But as you know, as I say in the sort of disclaimer at the start of all of these videos, they are not toys. They can do serious harm, and it would be awful if you bought something thinking you were going to have a bit of fun with it and you ended up inadvertently hurting either yourself or a friend or a family member. So the first thing I would suggest you do is just think about what you're doing. Have you got space to do this? Do you have the right mindset towards it? These aren't toys, and that's why, although maybe it seems to some people like I'm a bit overkill with this, I try to treat them as if they are real firearms for the most part. Because if you follow those 4 basic safety rules that are listed at the start of each of these videos, you can't go far wrong. You know, if you treat them like they're loaded at all times, you're going to be on a level of caution which protects you. If you're careful where they're aiming, if you're making sure you're not pointing them in the wrong direction, you know, if you make sure you know what is behind what you're shooting at, and are you happy to shoot at what you're aiming at, those sorts of things, you know, they're listed at the start of the video, so you can kind of pause it on that intro and see what the 4 basic firearms kind of safety rules are. With that in mind, this is the Sig Sauer P 365 for the uninitiated. Nice little pistol, but I'll just show you that there's no CO2 and no BBs in there, so we're all safe. I could even put it on safe if you want me to, although single action only. If you don't know what that means, guess what? Watch the single action, double action video. So that's the first thing you'll need is a proper mindset. Sorry, I've got oil all over these gloves. Sorry. But yeah, that's the mindset. Second thing, really, you need to get yourself one. So what sort of pistol do you want? Well, if you're collecting the replica pistol, what sort of guns do you like? What have you seen in films that you think, oh, that looks cool, or oh, actually that looks like a lot of fun, I'd like to shoot that, I'd like to see how that feels. I particularly like SIGs, and I have a couple in my collection, 2 or 3 you might say. But I didn't start with a SIG. I think I started with a 1911 replica. I think I went for the Remington. What sort of thing do you want? Obviously, there's a range to choose from. There's, you know, Sig Sauer, you can get Colt replicas, you can get, what else? Lugers and Rugers and Remingtons and Springfield, whatever you want, you know. They're all made by, you know, there's a small number of companies that make them under license. So there's Umarex, KWC, ASG, all these different organisations that make, release and manufacture and distribute these pistols. So watch a few videos, do a bit of reading, see what sort of thing you like. It may be if you're in a different country and you have an actual firearm yourself and you just want to save time or money on ammunition, which is very expensive, you might think, well, I need to find something that is as accurate to my actual firearm as is possible. So if you're an American, let's say, and you have a Sig P365, if you want to practice things like holster withdrawal and pistol discipline, things like that, and just get some time with your hands around the thing and shooting out of it and whatever else you want to do with it, this might be a way forward. So think about the pistol that you've already got and then base your choice on that. For those of us here in the UK, it's probably more about simple things like, what do I like the look of? what have I seen that's got that pistol in it? Or, do I start to try and collect my way through all the pistols in John Wick? Good luck with that one. So there you go. So you're going to need a decent mindset. You're going to need a pistol. You're going to need something to shoot at. So you might want to print something off yourself, or you might want to buy something similar to that. It's pretty standard target. You've got that smaller space in the middle and the wider space. If you can't hit something of that size at about between 5 and 10 meters, then you need to look at doing a bit of practice with it, which is good because more practice means more fun, more time with your pistol, and more time kind of honing your skill and just enjoying being outdoors. Hopefully, getting a bit of fresh air. So you want something to shoot at. What you can do is get some of these, which are kind of splatterburst targets, I think you call them. And they're a bit brighter, a bit more easy to see, and they actually let you know when you've hit them because they leave a mark. I should have had one ready, really, but not to worry. What I tend to do is I get one of these, and I take one of these. It takes my glove off, and I tend to just stick one in the middle like that. And then I've got that middle bit there just to shoot at, and it's going to give me a bit more feedback, and I can see that from a greater distance. And then any flyers that end up round here, so be it, that's life. So you're going to need a target. You need a pistol, you need a target, something to shoot at. You're also going to need this mystical witchcraft here that I'm always talking about. So manufactured by Crossman, bit of an advert there. I'm sure there are other products that do exactly the same thing, but I don't know about them. I don't know who makes them. If you are better equipped than me, you probably go, oh, you can use this or you could use that. But Pelgun oil is specifically made for lubrication of pellet guns specifically, and works on these things as well. And you don't need to do anything with that other than, I've got a CO2 canister. Yeah, all you need to do with that is when you are loading your pistol and you're getting your CO2 ready to go into your pistol, however it fits into whatever pistol you've got, you just take a drop of Pelgun oil and leave a little dot on the top of that, and that is enough. That is enough to really look after your gun. It will protect your seals in there. Obviously we've got seals and things that they're going to wear over time, but they will absolutely wear if they don't get any lubrication. What am I doing holding that? It's not in there, it's in here. Can we... Yeah, you see that white bit at the top there? So just where your CO2 sits, there's your seal, and a bit of Pelgun oil on there will keep that. It will also make sure you don't lose as much CO2, less will escape because it'll create a bit of a seal itself. So yeah, you'll need some Pelgun oil. You'll also need some of this stuff. You'll need some CO2. If, of course, you're using a CO2 air pistol. All of mine are CO2 powered because I like the replicas, so I like it when they blow back. I also like just a little bit more power than you would get from a spring pistol, and it tends to be that these CO2 replicas are the most accurate replicas. There's very few spring guns, I think, that there might be one, I think, is it called the PSM 45, which might be a Crossman product, which looks a little bit like a Glock, but it's not It's not directly a Glock. I don't think they have the license. And that's a spring pistol. But the other thing with the spring is it's only going to be, you know, you're going to cock it once. If it's a spring pistol, you'll cock it once and then shoot it, and then you'll have to cock it again and shoot it again, and then cock it again and shoot it again. With these CO2 blowback pistols, you've got that semi-automatic action, so it's going to send the slide back. You're going to get a bit of blowback, but it's going to get you lined up ready for your next shot. So you've got your pistol, you've got something to shoot at, you've got your CO2, which is in a way your fuel, and you're going to look after that and look after your gun by putting a bit of Pel gun oil on there. While we're talking about magazines, you're going to need some of these Allen keys or hexagonal spanners or hex keys. Every gun I've bought comes with one, so you'll end up with a few lying around, as you can see. I don't like to throw them away. I don't like throwing anything metal away, as you can see. And you don't know when you're going to lose one, so keep hold of them. They're useful for all sorts of tasks, and anyone who buys any IKEA furniture, they just do come in handy every now and then. So yeah, you're going to need those because they, for the most part, are what you use to tighten your CO2. There are other things you can use, like in this in the S25 here, the Legends by Umarex. Your CO2 goes in there, and you get this handy kind of tab with it, so you don't need the hexagonal spanner or Allen key for that one. So there you go. While we're on the subject, you might need, if you have something like this, a shell loading revolver, some of these. You might need some extra shells because you only got 6 shots, and you might want to fill these up with pellets or BBs if they're the BB versions, and have some of those lying around so that you can quickly reload and continue on with the fun. When we're talking about loading also, if you're using a BB pistol like that, you might want to invest in something like this, which is a speed loader. So that pops up there. You've got your BBs all lined up there, and you can just get your magazine and feed them in from the top using the plunger there. Just feed them in like that. Sometimes easier said than done, but they can be quite handy as well. Now, you don't need all of this stuff, but as you get into the hobby and as you get more involved, you might think, well, I'm just going to invest in a speed loader because I'm taking 2 guns out with me this afternoon and I want to shoot a few rounds through both, and we're going to get through a few magazine worth, so I'll take that out with me. If you find it more straightforward just loading them yourself, then so be it. On that, you might need a couple of spare magazines, especially if you've got a gun that you particularly like. You might want to shoot a whole magazine off, then release it, and just have another magazine ready. These can be quite expensive because they do a lot of the work. In some of the guns, all the valves and things are in the magazine. In others, it isn't. But you might want some more of those. But the main thing that I wanted to mention that you will definitely need if you are shooting specifically BB guns is a pair of these type of things. Safety glasses. Yeah. Ball bearings are very hard and they do rebound off pretty much any surface and can easily come flying back straight at your face. I've had quite a few come back and give me a tap on the arm or in the face, or they end up in your hair and all sorts. I say that, I don't have much hair left to get it caught in. But yeah, they do come back and get you. Now, not hard, I've not experienced anything coming back too hard that it's hurt me or anything like that, but I certainly wouldn't want it to go anywhere near my eyes. So every time I take a pistol out, I stick some of these on. Some pistols come with them. I know that Crossman are quite good for providing these with some of their products. You get them in dashing yellow colours and all sorts, but anything that's designed as eye protection, you'll get them from shooting shops, and it's worth investing in. Perhaps not just any old sunglasses that you've got lying around. Make sure they are properly intended for the purpose of protecting your eyes. You'll get less of that with pellets. If you're shooting pellets, you'll get less of that ricochet and so on and so forth, but you might still get some, so it's worth always having eye protection. Ear protection, less so. You'll see people wearing ear protection if they're shooting actual firearms, but if you've if you've never heard a CO2 pistol, then they can sound like a bit of a clap maybe, but it's not going to be so loud that it's going to damage your ears. It might annoy your neighbours, don't get me wrong, but you don't need to worry about ear protection. But definitely, I can't recommend enough. Get yourself some eye protection, and then it's just peace of mind while you're out there. Good. I hope that this has been informative. I think that's pretty much all the things that I use, really. The other thing to mention, which I haven't got in front of me here, is if you are shooting in your garden, you might want a pellet trap of some sort. You can get them pretty cheap online, but you might want something that's just going to capture all those pellets or all those BBs so that they don't end up in your soil and all over your garden and rebounding off all over the shop. You know, if you can get targets that you can shoot at, they'll knock down, and that's quite satisfying. And it also captures any BBs that you fired at them and keeps everything in one place. And then you can just empty them out once they get full. So that might be a good idea. Other than that, if you've got a board and you've just got some targets stuck to a board, that's a good idea also. Just make sure that if you are sticking your targets to something like a piece of cardboard, you've got something solid behind it, so that you're not kind of penetrating the cardboard and going beyond, and certainly not beyond your own boundaries. So there you go: Allen keys, pel gun oil, ammunition, CO2, some targets, speed loader, perhaps some glasses, perhaps some spare mags, and you're off and up and running. Enjoy, stay safe, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.